Stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everyone to the August 20th regular meeting of the Walsh County Commission, and to remind everyone that we are on Zoom. If you would like to speak, please look at me and I'll recognize you to speak. So today we will start with additions to the agenda. Amy,
No.
Denny,
No.
Christie,
No.
Ernie,
No.
myself, no. Christie, do you have anything?
I do, we need to discuss the,
We're full, we don't have room, so.
well, I just need the 2024 conference delegate. Please.
2024 conference delegate.
Yes, the delegates. If not, Amy's getting it.
Keep getting it anyhow.
Well, I could do it. Okay, add that to the end. We'll move on to the consent agenda. We have last regular meeting minutes. And we have 3 budget special meeting minutes to approve and the monthly bills. Do I have a motion for the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on any of the minutes or the bills? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Employee time. Doesn't look like we have anybody for employee time, but it's not, I think, not 9:05. I think we'll let's do the 2024 delegate. I'll do it for one last time. The nomination, but yeah, I'll do it it'll be my last NACO meeting, so.
Okay.
And do we have time for any more unfinished or other business?
Christy had asked this morning about the conference in the hotel. Do you know if there's a time frame for booking that? She sent that out a while ago, and I didn't know where to book one, but if anyone else hasn't, I didn't know.
I don't know how many she booked. I know we were gonna just book a kind of a block and then cancel as we got closer. So,
I said,
has everybody registered?
Why didn't
Are you
register?
guys gonna register? Do you?
I just told her to
Do
get.
you want me to register all of you guys?
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Everyone's going?
Yeah.
Okay.
just a reminder, if anyone knows ahead of time. Cause we end up paying close to $300 for a registration if nobody's there for that, so.
What's the date? October.
22nd.
Yeah, I believe 22nd, yeah, Sunday
Sunday
to
to
Tuesday,
Tuesday, yeah.
That could be,
And if we have a guest that we can just do that when we get there, or do you need to know that ahead of time as well?
You need to register a guest, they don't pay anything, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll keep you
Yeah.
posted.
yeah, okay, I'm sure we can add that after, I'll just get everybody registered and then we can always add that after, I'm sure. Okay, perfect, I'll do that.
Okay, I think we'll just go ahead and have Cheryl come up with the Red River Regional Council.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Cheryl.
I think you all know me. So I'm here today because we as a regional council are helping the North Dakota Department of Agriculture promote their regional livestock planning grant. You are all aware that the North Dakota legislature is making a push for additional livestock development. I serve on the RDFC board and we got a $10 million grant to provide a revolving loan fund for new and expansion meat processing facilities in North Dakota. And so there's a lot of initiatives underway. And this regional livestock development planning grant will pay a consultant that has been, there are 2 consultants that have been pre-selected by the Ag department to map all of the townships and all of the counties in North Dakota in regard to good, better, and best sites for potential livestock development. It wouldn't preclude siting development anywhere, but it does inform you as to where the best infrastructure is available, zoning regulations are in place, et cetera. So, I believe I texted Haley and she should be online. And so she will be going through the program outline. And I think I forwarded to Christie some documents for you to review, one of which is a resolution of support for us to go ahead with the planning grant. The regional council will provide staff support to Haley. But we're really just acting as a pass-through, and there are no costs associated with the work that the regional council will do and the work that the consultants will do. So it's a freebie to the county. But we feel it's important. It's a good putting in place the groundwork for potential livestock development in the county. And we're taking this resolution of support to all 4 counties in our region. And I do think we have, are you Bill?
I'm Brian Riley.
You're Brian.
Oh,
Brian,
Lord.
my apologies. We do have the support of the Northeast Rural Water Users Association, and Bill's here also to provide support, I believe, and answer any questions you might have. So,
Cheryl, are you asking for a motion for anything this morning?
well, what you would do is move to
Besides
support
the
the
letter.
resolution. And
Okay,
you have a draft resolution in your packet. Haley will know exactly how she wants to receive that resolution, so we can go ahead and let Haley do her presentation if that's all right.
okay, so everything we have on here, that's what we're gonna be talking about under Cheryl? Yeah, cause I do wanna stick to our agenda here.
And
So,
I handed out the slides that Haley will be reading through for you this morning. So you have a paper copy.
so, I mean, we have a full agenda. I'd like to stick to this agenda. We have people coming in at certain times, so,
Okay,
okay, so at around 9:40, we'll wrap up then. Okay, thank you.
you can go ahead, Haley.
All right, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So again, my name's Haley Beeger. I'm with the North Dakota Department of Agriculture. I am an egg and livestock development specialist as well as a dairy inspector for the department. I'm here today to talk about the Regional Livestock Development and Planning Grant. So what this is a grant program to assist counties and townships to coordinate like a county site analysis in which GIS mapping is used to identify suitable locations for egg and or livestock development. So this grant can also be utilized in addition to that GIS mapping to help with strategic planning for updating and reviewing county and township zoning and land use regulations, which can be useful for determining the needs and wants of the county and or township. So this is basically just a tool in the toolbox to ID these sites for egg, livestock, or rural development. It helps with planning and zoning, and kind of outlines options for landowners and or businesses to learn where their investments will be welcomed. So as far as the grants go itself, factors that are in consideration for identifying suitable locations are local zoning and land use regulations, state permitting regulations, and then availability to infrastructure, and then natural resources necessary for the development project. So it is $12,000 for every county that is applying and $500 for every township included in the application. 50% is awarded up front. The other 50% is awarded at final report. We do encourage our counties and townships to apply within the regional council. As Cheryl noted here, it's just easier for awarding those funds to one person as opposed to 60 different applicants. We do have some resources available. All of our counties that have signed up, we have about 22 counties that are signed up as of right now. And we are in the works with, an additional 11 right at this moment. So First District of Association of Local Governments is out of Watertown, South Dakota. About 10-15 years, South Dakota did the same exact program through their entire state. First District was, they're kind of like, the regional council of the Watertown region, that northeast corner. And so they helped push that grant or that county site analysis through their state. And they have been generous enough to donate their time and efforts to help us push this grant on our end. All of our counties have gone with First District. They do leave additional funding at the end of the grant outside of the GIS mapping to help those counties and townships with that strategic planning side, that zoning. So if there's any questions or things of that nature, they have been wonderful to work with. Decision Innovative Solutions is another company that has noted their time to do, have the time to do this grant as well. They are out of Iowa. And then we have Jim Anson with the Department of Agriculture, who also has training with GIS. There can be additional information found on our website. You go to divisions and then it's under Regional Livestock and Development Planning Grant. The next slide, you will see an example of the resolution. You are more than welcome to use this resolution, fill in the blanks there as needed as a county, if you so choose. If you want to write up your own, you are more than welcome to do that as well, but this is more or less an example of what we're kind of looking for as far as the resolution goes. Now, with the resolution, that encompasses all townships within the county. The townships do not have to sign a resolution. That one resolution from the county encompasses all townships. If we continue on, we will kind of look at the Cottington County Rural Development Site Analysis. Cottington County is in that northeast corner of South Dakota. Watertown's located there, right along that I-29 corridor, if you don't know. So what they're looking at, we'll look at here is kind of a summary of findings, the site assessment itself. And then in their report, you kind of get research and methodology, their contact information, site characteristic. And so what they ended up doing was a CAFO map, which is a concentrated animal feeding operation, and then an AID, which is an agriculturally related industrial development. So as far as site characteristics go for mapping out these sites, all of them are looking at county zoning, or they don't have township zoning down there, it's just county. So they were looking at their local zoning setback requirements, location to rural residences and communities, existing zoning districts, location to shallow aquifer. That's one of those natural resources they cannot build over. Access to county and state road network, proximity to three-phase power, proximity and capacity of water supply. Now on that industrial ag commercial side, the only real difference there would be proximity to rail and municipality. There were parcels that were removed from consideration on this map. They didn't have direct access to a county road. They didn't meet zoning requirements. There wasn't a buildable footprint of at least 40 acres. They didn't have enough water supply, those kind of things. Not that they can't be added in later on down the road once those roads have been built or power lines have been changed or water lines have been changed, but were removed from original consideration. So what you'll find going forward is that they found, they break it down into good, better, best sites for those locations. Your best sites, you're going to have all of those proximity to water, roads, and electric. And then they kind of break down after that, maybe the good site doesn't, is a mile off of a main highway or things of that nature. So So what they found were 69 good sites, 7 better sites, and 4 best sites for animal feeding operations, and 22 good sites for better and best in that infrastructure side. So what you'll see here is the infrastructure side. These little yellow dots throughout the map are those locations for good sites. That next map are the suitable locations for the CAFO development. You'll see green is best, that orange is yellow or better, and then that yellow is good sites. This map specifically that are locating specific sites will probably be only directed to like one person in the county, and then something along the lines of the yellow square outline that shows within the townships, the amount of sites. That would be more of your public information, just because those individual sites are under Confidentiality Act. They're not subject to open records requirements. So those townships broken down with good, better, best sites are going to be what's open to the public. Any questions so far?
Haley, I might want to mention the printed PowerPoint that they have isn't really a good representation of the color coded map, but I think you have that in the document that I forwarded to you, or maybe Haley, is that on your website as well?
That is not, but I can send an updated Cottington County report as well to the commissioners through email.
Did I send that to you, Christine? I think I may have just done the trail county summary.
I believe that's all.
So I can forward that to Christy and she can get that out to you, so you have the full color. We're just trying to be single.
And the same thing applies for that trail county. I think what you guys see on that report are the broken down townships, and they list good, better, best sites. The issue we're running into with Trail County right now, they are in the original documentation that you guys see does not have rural water lines. And so I think you only have good sites. There are no best sites because those water lines are not there. They are currently working with the rural water district, and they are updating those maps. As soon as those are done, I could send those out as well. So basically what the public can see is a breakdown of townships, not individual site parcels. That will be reserved for an individual for the county.
Yes.
I got a question on that, in your CAFO remove parcels, it said that it did not meet the 1/2 mile setback, is that those? Only distance there is only a 1/2 mile?
So depending on the county in South Dakota, I do believe they break it down depending on, it is dependent on the county and it is dependent on, I think certain areas. So they have, I do believe, on the size of that CAFO. So the bigger it is, I think the farther back the setback is.
Okay,
So I think they just did and in the report for Trail County, there is a report for a 1/2 mile setback and a mile setback, and you'll see there is a giant difference between the two of them.
okay, thank you.
I think with Trail County, there was hundreds of sites on that 1/2 mile setback, and you drop down to less than 100 sites on the mile setback.
Okay, any questions for Haley? Any
So-
questions? Go ahead, Haley.
So one thing I did just wanted to note here, as far as this project goes, it works kind of both ways, when a county, or township is looking at their zoning, whether they want to make the rules a little bit more lenient for development or a little bit more strict. This grant, is going to show you, especially on the 1/2 mile versus mile setback, what's going to be right for your county or your township. So it goes both ways for development, whether you're going more lenient or more strict.
Okay. Okay, what's our next move?
Well, I guess, discussion and, probably a vote to support the resolution, and at which time Christie could fill in the blanks for you and use that draft resolution, or you can draft your own. But as soon as we get the approved resolutions from all the counties, we'll go ahead and send a request for proposal to these two entities. And our regional council executive committee will look at their proposals, and I guess that Haley's experience will probably, pan out here as well, where there's a vendor that's willing to reserve some of the monies in that budget for assisting townships that might be interested in updating their zoning regs. That's certainly a more advantageous bid, so it's likely, but I can't say for sure that that first district would be the selected party, but it has been in other counties that have preceded us, so.
Okay,
By approving this resolution, is there any financial risk at all to the county?
No, the grant pays for the contract with the entity that will do the mapping, and they will pay for my staff time. No other indirect costs are paid for through, but the regional council is supporting this effort, so I'll be traveling to the other 3 county commission meetings. Well, I'll be missing, the Pembina County one, but our Pembina Job Development Authority person will represent the regional council there. And so we'll be presenting this to all 4 counties. When we get all 4 resolutions, we'll move ahead. If we don't get all 4, I'm imagining, Haley, you and I didn't discuss the possibility that someone might not sign the resolution, but, we'll go forward in the counties that do.
Madam Chairman, I think this is a no-brainer from a planning and zoning perspective for us, just with the information and no cost to it. I make a motion that we adopt the resolution. Fill in the blanks of the one that was sent to us here, the draft for Walsh County.
I'll second that.
Okay, is there any discussion or any more questions?
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
I just want to make sure I understand what's really taking place here then. So the grant is just to hire the staff and,
Hire the consultant who will then come in and map every inch, not to be exaggerating, but they'll look at every township, every section. And they'll review the infrastructure available. You notice that they will find out where the 3-phase electricity is for the purposes of industrial development, which would be processing, or for feeding operations,
such as a feedlot,
right?
like a feedlot.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, it just indicates where the best suited parcels are. It does not preclude development in any other parcel, it just indicates to you where the easiest development can take place without major infrastructure changes.
So what happens after that point? So you guys identify these sites, then what happens?
You'll have that document in your hands and you'll be able to refer, for instance, Brian, maybe you could speak to how it will benefit you as a water users group.
Well, obviously, a cattle operation is gonna use a lot of water, so it'd be a good customer for us, to begin with. And I think we are sitting on pretty good, surface water and groundwater up in this area, so that should draw them in. And, yeah, I mean, cattle operations, placing is priority, you gotta have it in a good place, so. But I think we have areas.
Do we, excuse me, Cheryl, do we know of anybody who's interested in benefiting from this?
Well, I don't know,
If anybody's,
you're the primary beneficiary in
Well,
our.
Yeah, I meant interested in starting
Yeah, I do.
any operation. Okay,
I
okay.
think, yeah.
I don't
think
need-
know
I
some-
just, okay,
It's probably
great,
not public, public
Great.
information.
Madam Chair.
yes,
I do know the one down by trail too, I think it does benefit the local area farmers as well, because you're talking about feed and.
Yep.
So.
I was just
Contract.
interested in if somebody else had checked into this, if they're,
Well, you've probably read in the newspaper that Trail County, of course, has the potential of adding a 25,000 head dairy operation.
Yep, yep.
And that would be duplicated in the 1,800 head territory in Abercrombie, which is either Castle Richland, I don't know which county, so
Okay.
Trail's already undertaken this,
Yeah.
So yeah, there's opportunity now that the laws have been changed that allow bigger operations, so.
It was a lot of controversy over this. I supported it, so, I mean, I'm glad that this opportunity is coming. You know, it's another way of, people, you know, expanding or.
Madam Chairman, I guess my concern is, yeah, it's a great opportunity unless you're the one who has to live next to it.
And that's part, well, Haley's really smart on these, so I should probably let her. That is part of the purpose of this, isn't it, Haley?
Yeah, so
To-
it's finding those suitable locations, especially when you're looking at setback distances. They're going to those. Every house, every parcel of land is looked at, so it's taking into consideration those structures that are around those facilities.
I'm gonna throw this off route. I'm trying to make arrangements to tour the dairy in Ada, and I think Haley might be able to help me out with that, but there is a large dairy operation run by the same company that hopes to expand in the Trail County area. And I really wanna go see it because, well, it's gonna be huge for Nodak Electric, of course. It'll be a big customer for us. But I wanna see what their processes are. They have some pretty updated technology that they use to dry the manure and recoup the liquid, and they use the dried manure for bedding. And, it's all very interesting to me, and I have to admit, a little bit freaky to me that there's gonna be 25. I mean, I grew up in a milking family. And I just can't imagine, I mean, there's gonna be all kinds of carousels with cows being milked all day long.
Yeah.
24 hours a day. So it's, I'm just curious, I'm just.
I'd
eternally
love to
curious.
go to that too.
Okay, yeah, I'd be glad to, I have a Tahoe, so I can fit 5,
Okay,
if you're interested, so I'll go ahead and try to make a couple of dates and send them to Christie and she can get them out to you.
Madam Chair, I agree, Christie, on the pieces of, the drawback, but I commend this and Charles work on this because the best shot that we have is really looking at the best, when you say good, better, best sites, I mean, that's a proactive approach, you know, to be looking versus something just coming in and thinking, well, this will be a good site, and then it's a disaster, and now we're, you know, deep into a problem that can't be supported, so I think this is the best route to be able to move that way.
Any more questions for Haley and Cheryl? Yes,
Is this going to be available only to the county planning and zoning commission? Or is it going to be available to the townships that retain their own zoning rights too?
Yeah,
Haley,
so,
did you?
so somebody within that township, or county would have knowledge, and access to those specific sites, yes. I think the plan is to create a website, and then have, restricted access, to those specific sites, and then those, more broad, maps will be available to the public then.
so once any of these sites are identified, would there be public meetings for people to come to? Like, you know, I'm your neighbor and I don't know if I want this.
Oh, that's the case for any kind of development, especially
Yeah.
livestock development. There
Just-
has to be open public notice,
Yeah.
have to meet requirements, they have to go through all of the same things. That does not prevent any of that from happening. That's just more of a notice, for those locations, more or less.
I guess I just wanted to say that out loud so people would hear.
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay.
They still have to abide by all upstanding laws between
Yeah.
DEQ, county, township. and things of those natures. That does not, surpass those.
Danny?
Has there been any involvement with North Dakota Stockmen's Association with this program?
Yes, they were, I do believe, a push for this. They currently sit on the, current model zoning task force as well. That are looking at, statewide model zoning ordinance.
How about
Um,
NRCS?
what was that?
How about NRCS?
I don't think NRHCS is sitting on that board, but we have Stockman's Association, Pork Council, Dairy, and there are many people from planning and zoning. We have a few from township. We have a few on the county level. There's corn and soybean processing. We do have the Indian Affairs as well as the Department of Ag and Department of Environmental Quality is a big part of that one as well.
So Haley, in terms of waterways, surface water. Those considerations are taken in, are made by the. Organization that's doing the assessment, right?
Yes.
So I'm guessing that any surface water that might impact a certain site will be noted in that map, in the
Yes.
mapping.
Natural resources, or waterways, any kind of,
Of which we have a lot of in Walsh County.
those are all taken into consideration when mapping. And of course, DEQ always has the last say on that. You know, maybe a site is developed or positioned on this map, but DEQ is always going to have that last say. They are the regulatory on that end.
Hey, any more questions? Okay, well, thank you so much, Cheryl, for coming in. Pardon me?
We have a
Oh,
motion.
I am sorry. Yes, we have a motion on the table. I did get a second, didn't I?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. I'll call for the roll then. Danny?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Christie?
Yes.
Ernie?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Motion carried. Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Haley.
Thank you all.
Yes,
Have a
thank
wonderful
you.
day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cheryl. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan.
Hey, Brent.
Ryan.
Rights get approved. And all of a sudden,
It looked fake, but that was just awesome.
You want to know you're back there?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah,
It'll be interesting.
I have one. I got one of that.
Well, on the back, we can get it.
Oh, I didn't think it.
And then that time to do it all over.
Well, we're waiting for Tanya. She starts and reading. Anything we can, that I
They
think.
never didn't.
Yeah.
Right away.
Okay, we'll move down to unfinished business. And we'll talk about Eide Bailey audit, annual audit.
So currently we have the state audit department doing our Walsh County's audits and they are backlogged. So we are 2 years behind on our audit. I've been, for the last year, I've been reaching out to the state audit department. And I was told the last quarter, the first quarter of 2024, that came and went. I've been on the phone with them. They just cannot tell me when they're going to do it. I know Eide Bailey is more expensive, so I did go to Brady Marks and tried to, get a quote from them as well. Because we're 2 years behind, well, technically 2 years behind. We are high risk and they weren't interested in taking us as a client. There aren't very many, audit firms that will do counties anymore. So I did reach out to, Eide Bailey, and Joni, that's helping us. Her county uses Eide Bailey as well, and she's been extremely happy with them. So I had a call with Jared Mack, and his dad's actually originally from Cavalier. So that was interesting, small world, but, they are interested in taking Walsh County as a client. They would be able to do our audit, within a couple months. They didn't know, you know, of course, they don't know for sure how long, but they know they would get it done this year. When I was at that conference, I talked to Keith Erickson from the state audit department for at least a half an hour. And he can't tell me when. I did find out that another county is getting their 2023 audit done by the state audit department, and they know that our 22 isn't done yet. So that bothers me, that I don't know why they're doing the 23s when they don't have all of their clients' 22s done yet. So I'm getting frustrated and I don't know how much time, so I figured it was my place to bring this option to you guys. It's a little bit more expensive because they, the way legislation changed, they have to audit it a different way, and it sounds like even the state audit is more expensive than it used to be. So I did get an email over the weekend that I didn't forward to you guys. I did send you guys the original price point. So bottom line, it would be, between 85 and 100,000 minus the subdivisions, for it.
That's for 2 years.
No, per, yeah, but then he did email me, yesterday, or I'm sorry, over the weekend. And he said that they are interested in, they do not, so they're looking now at dropping the, fee to the one-time consulting fee or whatever that was in the original, scope. And then they also are not gonna require us to sign a 3-year contract. So now we're looking at, low end 65,000 and high end 85,000. And, that is not with a single audit. 22, we did not need a single audit. 23, we will. The single audit is gonna be about $10,000 extra. And
That
that
22.
for 2023's audit.
23.
23's audit, so 22's audit, will not require the single audit, but the 23 will, so there will be an additional 10,000 on the 23 one. It would be on site as well as remote. They were very knowledgeable. I really feel like we would get a lot of good, they're looking for a relationship, so they want, I feel comfortable, I would love to work with them. I know it is a commitment, financial commitment. They said that they would be willing to get on and visit with you guys during a meeting, discuss it a little bit more, the background on it, why the costs are so much higher than, the state audit, but the state audit won't even tell me how much they are. Their price went up too because of the GASB requirements. I guess the way it was changed, they have to audit a different way, and counties, financials aren't set up that way. So there's a lot of legwork to get it, to even start the audit. So,
Do we have an audit budget?
yes, and I believe it's $40,000.
I was gonna say, we're paying about 35, 40.
Well, I don't know, I didn't look back, I should have looked back on how much the last state audit was.
It was around 30, 35.
I don't know if I would be able
Well, that's double.
to, right now.
Madam Chairman.
Yes.
So the state requires us to do an audit. The state is supposed to supply us an auditor to do the audit, or they're not doing it. And therefore, we're going to have to go out and pay probably double of what we've been paying.
I
I
can't
mean,
say double,
Well,
but yeah.
even if it's a 25% increase, something doesn't seem right
Yeah.
here to me.
Mhm.
They're requiring it, but they're refusing to do our audit, but they're doing other counties. Somebody needs to get to the bottom of this. Why won't they do our audit?
I agree, and I, like I said, I talked to him and he just keeps on, I spent an hour and a half on the phone with him the one day too, and it's like. It's, you know, yeah, we're gonna get it, we're gonna get to it, we're gonna get to it, and then all of a sudden,
Well, then apparently we have nothing to worry about if they're saying they're gonna get to it. Why should we have to go out and pay a ton more money? Because they're refusing to provide us the service that they're requiring.
Yeah.
This is kind of like our bridge thing. Oh, we're gonna require you to inspect these bridges, but we're gonna make sure you guys pay a whole lot more to do it. Now we're sitting here with the same thing with the state audit. I mean, when's enough?
Well, we do need to be audited, that's for sure.
But
Whether
why
they
are they doing
require
it?
it or not, I know. Make a phone call, but, we've only had the state do it for the last couple.
Quite a few years, I believe, yes, there was a
For-
gentleman from. in-
Holly used to do
Yeah,
it.
Bill,
Yeah,
Pauley used to
yeah,
do it, but
It's probably 5 years already that the
They-
state's been doing
yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I
So
did
we-
talk to them, and he did drop, there's some special, classes and, you know, that he has to do, and he let that go. So he couldn't, cause I
yeah,
even
at
reached
the
out.
time, Bill, yeah.
Yes,
But
yes,
now
so now
it's-
he can't, yeah,
Well,
so Bill wouldn't be able to.
he's dead. Oh, anyway,
Well,
Kim,
Yeah.
Kim Drew
yes,
Legacy.
yes, yes, yes.
Legacy.
Is she not taking that on though?
No, she did not, she's not licensed to do that, she doesn't have the paperwork to do that, I believe it was rating marks, and because we're 1 year behind, we can't. I know the water board is waiting on, cause they have funding, so now we don't have the audit, so then they're higher risk on that as well. And, I mean, we can sit and wait, but I felt it was important for me. It's your guys' decision to allow us to wait.
How about if we wait one more meeting and
Oh, of
decide
course.
the next meeting?
Yeah,
I'd like some phone calls made, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wasn't, why am I thinking this, but wasn't there some repercussion or something, cause we didn't have our audit done one time that affected the county? You guys remember that? Huh? Was it the water board? Okay.
Yeah.
That's the same thing then.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
Seeing when we start affecting that, that's not good.
It's not our fault.
Yeah.
no,
But Madam Chair, so the last time the state has done our audit would be 3 years ago then. That we paid technically 335. I have a really hard time believing it's probably not closer
Yeah.
to what. If they're having to totally change their system and there's a lot more legwork, I would bet 95% it would not be 35 grand or even
Oh,
the
no.
state.
I agree that it'll probably be higher too, but I would like to know,
Right.
I'd like to know what's the comparison in cost, and I'd like to know why the state is refusing to do our audit, or not, I shouldn't say refusing, but not doing our audit, but doing another county that's not as old. So I'd just like to get, I guess I'd like to get some
Yeah.
answers first before we make
Christine
a
and I will look
decision.
into that.
okay.
It's a bigger county.
Yeah, I'm not getting anywhere with Keith, I mean, I've been on the phone with him, I mean, I've
We'll
been
get a
talking with
number.
him, yeah, over and over, and it's just.
I'll
Even
get-
at the meeting, at the conference, when I found out it was him. So, poor guy didn't get to visit with anyone else because it was,
Yeah.
and then, yeah, there's nobody that wants this audit done more than me. You know, and it's just like, I really was begging him, it's like, and then after that, I found out that, yeah, there's a county that. Has their 23, they're in the middle of the 23 audit right now, and I thought. You don't even have all your clients 22s done, so why?
And they did hire a couple more employees too, but
Yeah,
they just can't keep up.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
not just what is it, a 2-week thing?
no,
More? Longer?
It's longer, yeah, I know there's a lot of legwork involved, and like I explained to him, even if we could get the 22 done.
I was gonna say, get
And
one.
that's the old system, so it wouldn't be, that one is gonna be easy, you know, I know 23 might be a little tougher with a conversion, but at the very least, get 22 done, and I don't mind the 23 not being done yet, you know, but the 21 just got done, the beginning of last year, so they've always been running late. So, yeah,
Okay, we'll bring it up, put on the agenda for next time, and then we'll have Tanya come on. Good morning.
All kinds of way easier than what you guys have been doing. I have, I'll pass this pile around, it's not new information for you guys, but I just felt like you should at least have it in front of you.
Well, there's
First-
there.
First of all, yeah, there's 2 pages, but they're stapled together. I had submitted for the agenda, the insurance committee update, and I don't have an update for you today, so that is not something we're going to discuss, so. The 20 minutes that I had allotted is gonna be plenty of time, because I expected that to be the bulk of our time. We thought we'd have something ready, we just don't quite, so will be coming soon. I have policy updates that I'd like to just request you to review, so, the first, on the top page, I think I have the vehicle operation one. We had a request recently from a department head. There was, an accident, a minor accident, but an accident in one of the departments with a vehicle. And it was not reported immediately, and we realized we don't have it written, spelled out in policy that that has to be reported immediately, regardless of the severity. So the red line in the center, I just added that simple red line, kept it very short. It should be common sense. We all said at the department head meeting, but it is not. And so, it's hard to hold somebody accountable if we don't have a policy in writing, you know, that states that. So I'm just asking for your approval of that line, or if you have any questions or feedback on it before you approve it.
I think we'll just take that motion right now.
I'll make a motion that we add that to that line.
I'll second.
Thank you, guys. Any more questions or comments? Discussion. Hearing none, I'll take the roll. Christie?
Yes.
Ernie?
Yes.
Danny?
Yes.
Amy? Yes. Myself, yes, motion carried.
Perfect, so that's considered the first reading of that policy, and I'll bring the second one back to you in September. The next page is the sick leave. You've already approved the first reading of this one, so I didn't include the entire policy verbiage, but the line in red is what we added. So I'm just looking for the second reading approval of that, the addition of the sick leave payout, 10% paid out upon termination with a maximum of 200 hours. I will clarify that I was assuming, because we hadn't discussed it, we hadn't put it in writing, I don't believe, in minutes. But it would take effect immediately if you would choose to approve the second reading today, correct?
I think we did talk about
We
that.
did.
I think we, yeah, I just didn't
Immediate.
remember if it was in writing anywhere, but yeah, I just wanted to clarify that one more time, so.
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the sick leave change.
Second. Thank you. Any more discussion or questions? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Danny?
Yes.
Amy? Yes. Christie?
Yes.
Ernie?
Yeah.
Myself, yes.
Okay,
Motion carried.
thank you. And then the last thing, I just wanted to acknowledge that the artist for this logo that you guys chose is Adrienne Montani, is how you pronounce her last name. I had to ask her because it doesn't look like that. So Adrienne Montani is the artist that created our logo. And so, she was she was not able to attend today. I did invite her to attend so that you guys could acknowledge her, and she was unable to come do the work. But she said, thank you very, very much for your thoughtful consideration, and she was very honored to be selected, that her piece was selected. So this has been passed along to the website company, so that is being built into our newly, under construction website right now. So, and we can, if we need to modify this or anything for colors or shades and things like that for different purposes, just give us permission. So I just wanted to make that acknowledgement.
Any questions on?
Make sure she gets a big thank you for the county for doing it.
Absolutely, I will pass that along. Yeah. So I told you mine was real easy. That's all I have for you today. So, any other questions for me?
Are you gonna be here for a while today?
Yep,
Okay.
till through the morning hours for sure.
Yeah,
Yep,
okay.
yep. Thank you.
Thanks, Todd.
Thanks, Tanya.
Yep.
Okay, we'll take a 5-minute break here to Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order. And we will ask Mr. Goosdale to come up. And we have Brent Nelson here if we have any questions. Or need any answers. Good morning.
Hey, has anybody done anything for miles along the Red River, or Park River? Has anybody looked into it?
There's,
I guess none of us have, we,
Couple
Not
years-
sure if
couple
that's
years
right.
ago, we talked about looking at it a little bit and
So, okay,
wasn't a lot of interest, we didn't proceed with anything.
so, okay, the last time I was here, and I was with a lady from, Red River Regional Council. And she said before anything can be done, we have to get money from the county. And at that time, Mr. Martis said the county has no money. So it was just dropped. So, okay, in a short period later, the county seemed to get all kinds of money to fix a Texas crossing by me with FEMA money. And, okay, explain to me what FEMA money can be used for.
I'm gonna ask Brent to
Could be the.
come up and,
The FEMA money that was used for like the Texas crossing, that's specifically for damage to public infrastructure to repair it. Back to previous conditions,
What? Am I right?
that FEMA money, so.
But am I right that FEMA money is supposed to be used for housing and residential people and businesses, right?
So when there's a flood declaration, a presidential flood declaration, there are several components. One is public assistance, which fix roads, bridges, that type of stuff. There's also individual assistance, which we haven't had since the early 2000s, which is directed at homes, like you could have got individual assistance on a home if you had damage from FEMA, if there's a declaration for individual assistance, but that doesn't come around very often, and it's become very much less than it ever used to be. And then there's businesses are usually eligible for what they call SBA loans. So that's a different program. And then whenever there's a declaration, the state gets money that they call hazard mitigation money, which they can use for hazard mitigation projects, which is what was used in the past to buy out houses along the Red River. So in 97 and the early 2000s, when we bought out a lot of those homes, that was all this hazard mitigation dollars.
Which homes did you buy out? On which side of the river? Minnesota or North?
No, on the North Dakota side, we bought several, we bought 20 some home, 20 plus. You were part of those applications at that time, one time, but you opted not to take the buyouts,
Right, because I had no place to go.
so.
And then, at that time, Drayton and Grafton was still in the floodplain. And that was not money to be spent for that.
I guess I'm not following it.
So, okay, if I would have went with buy it. And if I would have decided to move to Drayton or Grafton. They still were both in the floodplain. Prior to Drayton, which has done nothing for floods. And Grafton now has it taken care of.
are you saying you couldn't have moved to any of those places?
They did suggested not moving.
Well, all of Grafton wasn't in a floodplain, were they? I mean, every,
No, not the entire city,
No.
and I don't know what grade, I don't know if that entire city was in the.
No, I don't think it is either.
yeah,
So, I mean, they're there, and that was just, I mean, FEMA's always gonna recommend that you don't move into a hazard, but there's no restriction that says you.
right.
You couldn't move. You know, your house, you couldn't have bought your house back and moved it into a floodplain.
So, okay, why is it still going on in Minnesota buyouts?
I guess I don't know what they're doing now. But you can do, I mean,
There's buyouts going on there constantly.
Could be, but I mean, we don't keep track of, you know, I guess.
Minnesota.
there's
So
Minnesota
why
side.
FEMA? So have you attempted anything for buyouts?
No, we've not had anybody come and I don't, the way Brent is explaining it, we'd have to have another declaration, right, Brent?
well, it depends on whether there's mitigation funds available
Or many,
at the moment.
whether
There's,
they're,
the mitigation dollars we get come tied usually to a declaration. You know, the state gets so many dollars, and then those dollars are eligible for all 53 counties in the state to take for anywhere from buyouts to burying power lines, to putting in storm shelters, to, I mean, there's a variety of city sirens, so it depends on what funding is available and how much funding is available.
yes,
And when I said the county didn't have any money, that was because we didn't have any mitigation programs or anything.
No.
Yeah.
No,
What do you
it
mean?
isn't.
What's that?
You said not to monkey with it, the county don't have no money, because at that time. If it would have been reality, FEMA would have paid so much and the county would have to come up with so much money.
I don't remember that. We as a county weren't in the option. We never bought anybody out. It was always with FEMA or these mitigation programs. And that's what I meant is was
And when we've done the buyouts in the past, the county hasn't provided
any dollars.
any dollars towards the buyout. The buyout was bought. The FEMA paid 75% and the landowner, so if your house was appraised at $100,000. FEMA would pay 75,000 and you had to absorb the other 25,000. The county did not absorb those costs.
Okay. That's
That
different.
was part of for anybody that was bought out there, the county did not absorb the local share.
So,
The county maybe paid some stuff towards, I can't remember if there were some costs because the Red River Regional Council managed all of those. I don't know if there was some administrative, I mean, most of that came back through FEMA as well, but the county might have covered some of that local cost. That wasn't covered by the FEMA dollars. I don't remember anymore. But they did not provide money towards the house buyout. That was all grant dollars, and what wasn't covered by the grant, the landowner just. And most of those houses were appraised for more than. You know, they anticipated out there, so. So they were willing to do that, and there were several that didn't like the appraisals and opted not to take the buyout at the time.
so I just don't understand though, and I know Mr. Barton knows that I wanted to get a buyout for a number of years. And you confronted me one time in Drayton and you said, well, we have some program going for a buyout. And you said, I was supposed to give you a call, and what did I tell you? I said, when you get it organized, let me
Yeah,
know.
but nothing came to, that was just, they were talking about it and nothing came to fruition, so. You know, just cause they say there might be one, that doesn't mean they're always coming through, so, I mean. I think every time there's been a buyout or a mitigation or something else, we've always approached people to buy or something, but like Brent said, there hasn't been anything. We're at the
When was the-
mercy,
excuse me, sorry, go ahead.
we're at the mercy of them above us, and if there isn't a program, you know, of participation, let's call it. I don't think we really go and look forward to buying anything else. I said, everything we do is backed by either FEMA, federal mitigation or whatever.
So, okay, is there anything I can do to change?
Ooh,
No, but. Okay, if I was to sell my place. There's no such thing as anybody financing it, right?
that I don't know.
More than likely.
Well,
Yeah,
No,
they would, I mean.
so, okay. Going back to this. Spending FEMA money. So you spend FEMA money for a Texas crossing so people can. Get in and out of their hunting land. Why wasn't I available for some of that money? For a buyout, okay, I paid $4,000 $712 a year. Flood insurance, that's FEMA money. Correct?
Yeah, if you're buying federal flood insurance, it's going into the,
FEMA fund, yeah.
into the NFIP program, the National Flood Insurance Program.
So is there any way you can change that by changing the grade of my land?
I guess that's above my head, I don't know. I know you talk about FEMA, I know on the county side, we're waiting for a couple of projects that got delayed. Cause all the losses were out in Florida and California, they shifted everybody and went there. Or South Dakota, cause they had flooding, and now we're waiting for stuff that we're probably not gonna see for a while, just cause FEMA moved out. So FEMA's their own little, I don't wanna call it an animal entity, and we have no real control over them, and. I guess what they give us, we give us, when we do these roads or anything else in these monies, there's certain, like Brett said, there's a certain project that we do. I mean, we got FEMA projects all the time with our roads and construction and bridges and you name it.
It's through the highway department
Yeah.
and through DOT or the federal,
So that-
and that has nothing to do with, housing
Housing or
buyouts.
buyouts.
It's,
The money used for the Texas crossing is not eligible for buying out homes or helping
Right.
individual people, it's only for road projects. Public facilities for dam, I mean, that particular stuff, so now there is. Maybe you can go back and see if there's mitigation dollars available, what's available at the moment. And then there's a process that everybody would have to go through and the county would have to hire somebody to. Get appraisals and find out which entities are available and I don't know, but I don't know if there's any dollars available, I don't. Most of the time it becomes a limit as what dollars are available to do buyouts and where the priority is.
Well, I guess, I just don't understand. Go across the river in Minnesota. Buyouts are continuous there.
well, they're a total different entity than North Dakota. And I think you're lucky that you're on the north side,
But
on
you-
our side than in Minnesota.
FEMA is FEMA though, right?
Well,
Do you
I don't know
know,
what
You
the,
just got done saying that California money is,
but do you know if the Minnesota buyouts are all behind FEMA?
yeah,
Maybe the states, they got so much money there, maybe the states buy them out.
it's state and county.
Yeah, so if
So
that's not FEMA, then that's different, that's.
Right.
but county has never been in the business of doing any part of the buyout, spending any money. Or along the river,
On this side,
yes, in North Dakota, yeah.
so it boils down that the county never has money to do buyouts.
Well, we aren't, Andy, we aren't in the business of buying out homes along the river. That would make us liable for buying out a lot of things because of circumstances, but it's a individual, it's not public.
We cringe when we get property turned back just cause they don't pay their taxes and then we don't wanna own any land. It's just a nightmare for the county. And we don't make a practice of it. We try to sell it to other people that are interested and thank God we've got most of them done that way, but yeah, it's something the county don't wanna do is own real estate or buyouts or anything.
Well, I guess. We kind of like grasp some of that because we go across, and I don't know if anybody's ever talked to people there, commissioners or that.
Well, we wouldn't go talk to them because we're not interested in
I know.
being, in the business of it. I mean,
But you've got other interests.
where would we get money to buy out?
Well, but I mean, you have other interests to make sure that people have access to their hunting land.
Well, right
People
now,
that don't pay no taxes, don't live in the county,
they do pay
They don't-
taxes on that land
which
But they-
land,
that's owned over there.
that's owned over there?
Yeah, they do pay taxes on it.
On the land that you just got done, or that they put the Texas crossing to?
Well, that crossing, that's been done a few years ago and now it's not even able to drive across there.
So, I mean, you say that them people pay taxes?
Yeah.
No,
If they own property there, they have land, they pay land taxes, and I know for a fact that they pay taxes on that.
when years ago, right?
No,
every year.
the person who owns that land out there now pays taxes on it.
I have land there. That's in the same thing they have, and I don't pay taxes on it.
Well, that's, I don't know why you don't, but I know they do pay taxes on it.
You better look that up. Because you're wrong.
Okay,
Both of them, or the two of them guys themselves told me that they don't pay taxes. Yeah. Mr. Olson and Mr. Selesky said they don't pay no. tax. And when I talked to your former county engineer, and asked her how that ever become reality for that crossing. And she explained the whole works, and I said,
I'm just gonna stop you there, right there, because this wasn't on our agenda to talk about this, so I'm
Okay.
sorry, I
good enough.
will move along. Thank you for coming. Okay, Brent. Well,
So, I guess the first thing I had on my agenda was, the Sobel floodplain permit variance. We're gonna discuss,
So can you
I-
introduce?
yep,
everyone?
so we have. Gwen and Rory Sobel here with us. And Agatha, right? The architect for their building, so they're looking at, I sent you guys a bunch of information. I just printed out these. I sent this to you also, but I just printed it out quick for, so on the one side is a colored map. That shows where the property is. And all of the blue is what's mapped as floodplain, and the far northwest corner of their current structure. Is touched by that 100-year floodplain. On the other side is they've had a surveyor that's come out there, and this is his rendition that he believes that the structure actually isn't in the floodplain. You know, we have, these maps are based off of, you know, FEMA drawing lines based off of topo and aerial photos, and I mean, they're not always. So he has determined that the house should not be, the current structure shouldn't be in the floodplain. And then they're looking at adding an addition on, a garage onto the west end and an addition to the house on the east end, and those areas would be in the floodplain. And I did originally provide them a permit and gave them an elevation where those entities would have to be. As far as what the floor levels and those new structures would have to be. Where I made a mistake is that at the time, this was all in the floodplain, the house was marked in the floodplain, so. When they're making improvements that are more than 50% of the value of the current structure, or doing, they technically are supposed to bring the entire structure into compliance. Which means that they would have had to fill in their basement for the existing structure. So I went back and forth with them a few times, discussed probably looking at seeing if the county would issue a variance for not requiring them to fill in that structure, and that has become a big deal between the state floodplain coordinator and FEMA floodplain coordinators, where they don't think we can issue a variance, and so it's kind of went from there. So I guess I would let them, if they have anything they wish to say or any comments they would like to make. Currently, they have hired a surveyor who's come out and surveyed the property. Initially, it was just to establish some base elevations, now he's done a little more formal that. And like I said, his mapping is showing that the structure should not be in there, so. The state has suggested that they submit that through what they call a LOMA process, a letter of map amendment, to show that the current structure is not in the floodplain. I can still not get a straight answer from the state person or the federal person. What it means if they add on and build into the floodplain for that current structure, even if it isn't in or out of the floodplain. You know, whether they'll still think they need to fill in the basement or not, I cannot get a straight answer out of them, so. I am not sure what the requirement would be at that time, They have started doing some excavating at the property, that's kind of all come to a standstill until we sort this out, but their construction window is closing and. I'm not really sure how to proceed at the moment.
I will note that the design, after we received these elevations from the surveyor, the final design would allow, this area, the flood hazard area, if applied through the proper, modes, that would allow the building to be removed from the flood zone because all of the highest adjacent grade elevations would be at or above the minimum requirements, for that base flood elevation.
You're talking for where the addition goes, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
the final
so,
grading around the structure once completed.
yes,
And we also take steps, so the crawl space on the addition on the east side, that does meet FEMA, crawl space construction technical bulletin number 11. So that, does apply, to the way that crawl space would be constructed, with their standards, so that the finished interior of the crawl space would be no less, or no more than 24 inches below the final finish grade on the exterior of the building. And the basement, although, you know, this is an existing basement, it's partially, it will be partially finished, where I've already selected, just they didn't know that their house was in a floodplain when the design commenced. When we started this design, we were already planning that the basement would be, it's Weld County basements are wet. So the materials that have been selected for the basement are, weather, moisture resistant, and epoxy flooring, the rigid insulation that will be added to the exterior walls, so that the building meets current energy code requirements for basements, that'd be rigid insulation so it doesn't absorb water. So we've already taken steps that would make, this structure resilient to any moisture infiltration.
yeah, so personally, I'm not concerned about their project, I mean, that is not my. You know, I mean, the issue is that FEMA wants to push this filling that basement, and I don't know that I agree with that is. You know, and basically the thought would be is that, you know, that. You know, if the structure is still deemed that it's in the floodplain, which it probably, the whole thing would probably get moved out, but we aren't to that point yet. Is that, you know, then they assume all that risk and liability that. You know, that is still technically in the floodplain, which they're willing to assume, because like I said, they're doing everything they can to mitigate any potential problems that they would have.
So is that?
We're just
basement
trying to
been flooded?
keep, what?
Has the basement been flooded before?
Not overnight flooding, no. There's groundwater.
Sure, like every basement in Walsh County.
Yeah.
So they're worried that could happen, the water would come over there, you wouldn't
I've never
take
seen it.
measurements to keep water out?
There's been a lot of water to get foodie and everything, and it's never really come close to your house.
Right.
And their whole farmyard, if you look at that color map, in the flood zone, that whole farmyard is indicated as a flood zone, and this is a family farm that's been in there for generations.
Yeah,
They've
it's never
had
been.
its issues.
So, and
It's
the
not-
only
not
thing that
even-
FEMA will tell you there is that, you know, this is. Not based on a natural hydraulic study, I mean, it's best available information, so it could go either way, you know, and. As most of us, some of us have been here a long time, every time we get to a big flood and we say it's a 100-year flood, then everybody decides, no, it's not really a 100-year flood, that wasn't. You know, the number was not quite correct, so then they changed the numbers and it gets to be so it goes round and round, so, yeah, so.
So they can't so what? Tell us, you know, like what can't happen unless they take their own risk, I don't understand what.
Well, technically, at the moment, I mean, since they are mapped in the floodplain. I mean, the official requirements would require them to raise everything above a foot above the base flood elevation, which would require them to fill in the basement. Those are the current requirements as it stands at the moment. The goal at the moment seems to be to get the house removed from the floodplain, that's what Chris, right? That's the surveyor is proposing to work, or, I mean, and then he also proposed doing what they call a FOMR-F, which is a conditional letter of map revision based on fill, so bringing in fill around the area that would raise that entire grade up, which he talked about, and, you know, ultimately, that's what their their plan is to have that grade up, so that grade would be, and then the entire structure would potentially get removed from the floodplain.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I assume JR, you're here to answer a question on the county's liability risk if we happen to approve this variance.
I was here for the next one.
The new kind, yeah.
I guess that's my concern. If we grant the variance, are we liable?
We'd have to look into that. I don't know that our office got much on this issue.
So there's no problem with granting the variance, but I don't want the county held liable with something.
So the biggest concern that I see with the variance at the moment is that, I mean, there's, I sent you a copy of our, ordinance, which lists out the steps, which basically says that you have to verify that, they're not a major threat to them or a major threat to somebody else down the stream, and I don't believe there, so that, they're also supposed to be a hardship or some reason why, which FEMA doesn't think they have, so FEMA says, that you can issue a variance, but then FEMA could also determine to, suspend us or remove us from the flood insurance program, which would create additional problems for the county. But yeah, it is turned into I've never. And part of it is, and I'm not saying anybody's doing anything right or wrong, but it's a relatively new state floodplain coordinator, the FEMA people are relatively new, this is all kind of compounded with. It's all kind of compounded with, like all of these townships, which is the next section that I have on here, the townships signing over or not signing over. I mean, it's the same people that are pushing all of these, and they're looking at every little document and every form and every rule and every regulation and they're still trying to sort out what can and can't be done.
I guess I'd like to get a state's attorney's opinion on it.
We can definitely do that.
Amy,
Can you just, so your house, like this little blob in the middle, that has never been in the floodplain? Or when the house was built, that is what took it out of it? I mean, I'm just looking at this map and seeing like. That wasn't because of what the new assessor, that's been that way, like if your house has been out, most of it.
No, most of it is, it's just that small little.
But that's interesting to me that it, like, that little is out of it, so maybe when they built the home, I don't know how old it is, but that was taken into consideration.
1969.
Yeah, so it was pre-firmed, it was built before there was any floodplain boundaries or any of that.
well, let's just grandfathered in then, if that's.
And as far as the mapping, the colored map there on the back, the way that yes, that one. The way that the surveyor kind of prepared that is, this is done at a graphic scale that's miles upon miles, right? So when you zoom it into this small area, the fact that that's crossing there is more of a graphic representation that doesn't necessarily align with the actual elevation.
Yeah.
This is the most accurate data that we have.
Have they seen it? Has FEMA seen this?
Yes. Yes,
What
I
was
have
it?
sent this to FEMA,
And
but they won't act based on this, they want you to go through the FEMA process, so they want you to submit. So right now, their recommendation was to submit this with what they call this LOMA, letter of map amendment, which is the official request to remove the property from the floodplain.
And the surveyor is filing for an ELOMA, so their full version of that, so hopefully that's.
So hopefully that will turn over quickly.
I was gonna say, how long will that take?
Well,
Because if you do that,
Then it's still,
Then
it's
it's-
a question of how, now, because now the additions are outside of, or within that flood zone, and so now I still don't know what the proper steps are
Yeah,
after that.
The surveyor, I met with him the other day in his office after he took the survey, cause, and so he was suggesting that they do this FOMR F, which is a conditional based on fill being brought into the area.
okay,
Which Now, the FEMA rep or the state rep said that the FEMA rep that he talked to didn't think that was the best process to go through, but didn't offer any guidance as to what the best process is to go through to get. You know, so they seem to think the first step is to get the house taken out. And then from there, we can determine, cause my question is that, you know, if you don't remove the addition, which is now built into the floodplain, does that drag the house back into the floodplain, which now requires the basement to be filled? And they wonn't give you that answer.
Sure. Chris had indicated that, a lot of the work that he does in Grand Forks County, when that is in a floodplain, they move through that Clomar F. There's two steps, I forget the two different
Yeah,
acronyms. but
it's just the
one-
Lomar and then the Lomar, which
Yeah.
is the official removal of, and they can't do that until after
Yes.
the work is done to certify that the elevation from that.
Exactly, so one of them would be conditional, and then the other one would be a final, after everything's completed, just to verify that everything matches what was proposed. He said, Chris said, the surveyor said that that's what they do quite often in Grand Forks County when they are working in floodplain development areas. And that's been something that he, as a tool they use quite commonly. So he was actually quite surprised that this was flagged as not being the proper method for this project.
I'm sure your home insurance company would have some ideas too of what they're gonna require.
Christie?
So it sounds to me like.
yeah.
Unfortunately, we just need to wait for this. I can't remember the acronyms, LOMO or whatever it was, this Loma, there's so many acronyms, God, it's like working for FSA again. But, it sounds like our best bet is to wait for that to go through, hopefully it'll go through quickly, I know that it's holding you guys up and that's unfortunate. But to me, to put the county in a situation where we possibly approve a variance and then risk our, risk the issues with flood insurance, we really can't go out on a limb like that, I don't feel, at this point. So I'd like to
So
see.
initially, when this was put on the agenda, my thought was is that. You know, this was just a simple process, the county had that authority. If you issued the variance, part of the variance was that they assumed that responsibility and that, and in order to make sure that we were doing the variance correct, I reached out to the state. To make sure that we were doing, if there was some official form we were supposed to follow or do, because I didn't have any form. And then it's just kind of mushroom from there.
Well, I would say follow through with. What those acronym things, Loma, and come back, I don't see us not. I would say all of us would, vote yes to give you the permit variance.
So when you talk floodplain or anything else, and I'm just thinking where, you got the pasture there, Northine there and everything else. So my question, and I'm not telling them this, if they built a little dike around that and then does it take it out of the floodplain? That'd probably be one of your answers, I don't know.
They have to go Corps of Engineers certified.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
In order to
that's
remove
right.
them from
Yeah.
the-
Yeah.
But I think they can remove themselves
Yeah,
just by, so the Clomar and Lomar process that Chris talks about is. That, because you're talking, a few inches here or there between,
Yeah.
it isn't like you have to go up 10 feet, I mean, most of the. The base flood elevation in that area, which is also, subject to debate, but Chris seems to confirm that that number would be an accurate number to use is. 929.7, so our regulation requires that they have to be at 930.7, so but. To get that area to 929.7 or slightly above, to remove it from the floodplain would take, does not take much.
Very little.
It's the typical grade that I would recommend for finished floor elevation.
Well, I've been around there a lot longer than you, Rory, and I never remember water cause that pool runs toward our place and south of our place when we lived there. There's never been water into that house or close to it. It's.
Yeah, like I said,
Yes.
it's not like they're trying to do this
No.
with the Red River or the Park River, I mean, you said, it's a draw that is not.
Yeah.
And it has some water, and yes. Their basement probably gets water, but it's groundwater, I mean, my folks don't live anywhere, they get water in their basement. I mean, it happens.
Ask the Grand Force guy, which FEMA guy he's talking to, cause it seems like every time you talk to one of them, you get a different answer. Try talk to the one that the Grand Force guy is.
Well,
See what he said.
but the Grand Forks is probably not talking directly to them,
Right.
lately, I
Oh,
mean, that's just
no.
their process that they've done for years, so.
If it does have to come back though for a variance, I would like our state's attorney to be involved in that so that we can get legal advice on it before we all vote yes. I mean, I'd like to know where we stand, I guess.
We can't jeopardize our FEMA
No, we
for the rest of
can't.
the county.
I mean, I'd like to say we could for one
Yeah.
family to build a house, but I just don't think we can go out on a limb like that unless the state's attorney office can recommend something else.
Yeah, I would say if it gets back to that point, send up the information so for us to review it, and then we'll go from there.
Okay,
That's okay.
well, sorry, we couldn't, decide anything here today, but if you go back and come back with some different information for us, we'll gladly.
Did Chris give you any timeframe on what he thought that he would turn around?
No, but he told me the other one takes at least 60 days, cause they have to.
The regular.
Homeowner is because somebody down south built something in a floodplain in Mississippi or somewhere and destroyed wildlife habitat.
Oh,
Which is so
yeah.
ironic to do, but,
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta get all the environmental.
Yeah.
so US Fish and Wildlife Service is the holdup on that, that's why, cause they have to research.
And that's US.
US Fish and Wildlife Service.
So that's a whole different ball.
So that's why it takes so long.
And
Because
here,
they kind of sit on it for a while, they're supposed to research different habitats
This-
in the area.
But he did think that this,
The other one will be
should be, a faster process.
process, yeah.
It's just, you don't know what the required step is going to be after that.
Yeah, which is what I'm trying to do, and the FEMA person I've been dealing with is evidently gone somewhere this week, so I haven't. So I'm missing, cause I'm trying to get this, okay, that's fine, we can get the house removed from the floodplain,
Mhm.
but. When they add the addition, it's gonna move into the existing floodplain, so what does that mean for the existing structure?
Yeah.
I mean, unless you get the whole area removed, which is a much longer process.
well, we'll let this play out.
Okay.
I wanna stay on schedule here, so, thank you guys for coming in, and we're hoping we can do something for you next time.
Hope it works out for you.
Yeah.
We'll go in, if Brent, you wanna do the floodplain management, anything more for that? Instead of-
Unfortunately.
Good luck.
I'm getting really tired of this floodplain management hat that somebody gave me sometime along the way, that,
Emergency management.
the floodplain management's totally different.
Flood
I'm not an
emergency.
engineer, and I'm not a lawyer,
Well, yeah, I guess,
so, I mean, we're dealing with water, so.
yeah,
Okay, so. About a year, a little better than a year ago, FEMA started pushing this, none of the townships were. Under the county for floodplain management unless they signed over the authority to do that, because we didn't have anything official, and nobody in North Dakota had anything official for it, so they've been pushing on it now, so. So we started sending out notices to the townships, having them sign a resolution, it was a very basic resolution that basically says, yep. The township adopt the resolution and that the county do the floodplain management for them. So now they've decided that that resolution isn't adequate enough.
Who's there?
Well, FEMA did. So, and then I did send it to Kelly looked it over and she said it probably didn't meet the Century Code standards for transferring those rights over. Which. When we had proposed sending it out, everybody said it was fine to send out and have them sign it, so that's what we did, so anyway. Currently, there's about 9 townships that haven't signed it, which. So they're technically not covered by floodplain. In flood insurance. But that's for them, and FEMA hasn't got that straight yet either, because they have some, when you go to their official site, some townships are listed under us, some aren't. Some are suspended and listed under us for floodplain, so they have, the whole thing is kind of a disaster. But anyway, so FEMA sent out these 3 floodplain ordinances, which I sent you copies of. Which are basically the 3 ordinances are. Good examples from Devil's Lake, that's why it says Ramsey County owned, Ramsey County developed these ordinances, so this is what they provided as a guidance, so. And Kelly said these would be fine, she supported using these, but. Just to explain a little bit the way the ordinances are written, there's 3 of them, so number 1. Is that the township does not want the county to provide any zoning or floodplain management. So they would just sign off and says the county's not doing it for us, we're doing, basically we're doing our own. Number two is basically saying that the county is going to do their floodplain, but they're retaining their own zoning. And these are all specific to floodplain management, it's also just noting what they're doing for regular zoning. So one is they're not letting the county do anything, they're doing it all themselves. Two is the county would do the floodplain, they would do their own zoning. And three basically says the county's doing their floodplain, but they've also released their zoning rights to the county. So which to me is, when I send all of this to the townships, it's gonna confuse most of them. Has been, get enough trouble trying to get them to, one paragraph statement to get them to sign that and return it, so. But that isn't today, so part of this before I, so then the other part of that is that, and I didn't send you that, but they also have to officially fill out the form to apply to be a part of the flood insurance program. They have to become their own applicant, just like a city, so they have to all become their own. And then they either have to set up their own program, or they have to assign it to be under the county's ordinance and have the county manage it for them. So, in the last while, I'm talking to some, there's also some concern or issues with the current regular zoning, so I don't know if we need to update our agreements with the townships for the regular zoning, and if we should proceed and do that all at the same time instead of trying to do just floodplain and then, later on coming back with regular zoning, or I'm not sure where the county sits on their regular zoning. I know there's a couple townships that said, that have their regular zoning that said they may be looking to sign it over to the county, and so
Well,
I don't know if you
sounds
wanna
like
look at a
we-
bigger project,
Yeah.
or if you just want me to move forward with it.
Would you be able to get those townships? And they can come to a zoning, we have to set up at least one meeting. With the planning and zoning then. In order to find out
Set up one meeting for,
what, with townships and planning and zoning. I mean,
Are most townships, like 3 where they, or what's the percentage, in terms of townships that have retained their own zoning? Versus,
for the county zoning, I'm not sure, for floodplain management, so for floodplain management, the county has always done all of the townships.
okay,
It was just, like a year and a half ago, whatever, then FEMA decided that that wasn't, because none of the we never had agreements with the townships. To do that, so they said that you can't do that, they have to. They have to sign it, they have to sign a resolution giving it their right to the county, or they have to develop their own program, or they have to do whatever. And then the other part of all of this is that, it's my understanding, and I have not seen it officially anywhere, is supposedly there's supposed to be some legislation coming for the state. This legislative session to address some of this stuff, because there's been a big deal with several counties trying to sort all of this out and getting all of this. Zoning and non-zoning and who's in charge and who's not in charge, and are these of. Organized townships and not organized, and who's, so it's just become. And I mean, it isn't just, in Walsh County, all of ours are organized, but some counties have organized townships and non-organized townships, and then you're debating of who's in. You're trying to sort all of this out, so I don't know if there is gonna be legislation.
do you know what committee that's going to?
I don't even know if anything's been introduced yet.
No, but I mean. Just to see.
So, and I don't know what it's all gonna, I think intention was originally to start with the floodplain stuff, to just put it all under the county rather than. Because if it's, here, if you got 36 townships doing their own thing and half a dozen cities, and then the county doing its own thing, and it's like. Cause then I said, cause my argument was I said, well then, what does the county do if all the townships are on their own? I mean, we don't really have any other, I signed off, most of my permits are signed off for DOT, well, should I do that? That's really state land going through the county, who's actually in charge of that land? And they can't answer that question. Then
Well,
it's-
furthermore, do you think that the townships want the responsibility of doing the floodplain?
No,
That's why they turn it to us now.
right, no, none of them want that
Right.
responsibility.
They got enough to do and everything else. They don't wanna go through the hassle and the paperwork.
No.
Yeah.
So, but it's just getting the documents, so, and Kelly didn't think, the one document said that they're not turning, basically, they're keeping everything. Kelly didn't really think they needed to sign that one. And if they don't sign one that says they're signing it to us, we just assumed that they're doing their own thing then, but.
So what do you want us to do, Brent? What?
Well, so I guess my main question was, before I start trying to work with all the townships on this resolution and the zoning for floodplain again, is to know whether the county was going to try to do anything with regular zoning, and if we should just try to do it all at one time rather than. I mean, we have a few months to kind of, because. For anybody that's gonna take out flood insurance, there is, 30-day wait. So prior to next spring flooding, if somebody wanted to get on, or if they're currently carrying flood insurance, then.
Yeah, I don't know
We would
what
have
the zoning board is. in
So if you want me
process.
just to move forward with these, and just so you know that I'm moving forward with these, that's what
I
I'm
would
doing,
like it
just let you know, and like I said, it's gonna get to be a lot for some of the townships to sort through it somewhat, and I just don't wanna, 2 months down the road, have you guys sending them a whole bunch of stuff regarding regular zoning.
I don't think there's anything even on the agenda for planning and zoning right now.
Now, so,
Madam Chairman,
Yes,
I think, Brent, if you did just the floodplain and tried, maybe we keep it simple. Honestly, when you sent all this to me, I was overwhelmed, but if I would have got your option 1, 2, and 3, like you just stated today, I'm like, oh, now I get it. So I think if you just, when you email them, if you just give them a brief description of the option 1, 2, and 3, so they kind of know what they're looking at. Like you did with us, I mean, no county involvement, or you have floodplain and no zoning, or you have both. That really simplified it.
so with
Hopefully you get a better response then.
yeah, so the catch with that, just the way you said it, is that. So. So the one option 3 here, is basically says the county has both,
Both, yeah.
but. The reality is that it's saying that it's giving you the floodplain,
Mhm.
and that it already has the county doing its zoning. So I make sure that they understand that by signing this doesn't automatically transfer their zoning to the county. If they haven't done that already, because that's a whole nother resolution.
yeah.
Okay.
Cause this is not a resolution that says they're giving it, they're just saying that. These are resolutions specific to the floodplain management part. And basically, the last little paragraph says that they have also released their. Zoning to the county. And that's evidently what FEMA wants to know, whether they've released everything or just floodplain or what they've released. So it's, like I said, it's
Gonna take a little more work.
gonna take some time to make sure that they all understand what they're, because if. Somebody says, well, yeah, I want the county to do my zoning, and I haven't, by signing this, they haven't accomplished that, they still gotta get whatever resolution.
So
The
if
county
you
is gonna use,
if you get one of those back signs, so then you're gonna have to reach out to that county and say, well, we also need you to sign the zoning, right?
if that's what they're
If
opting to
that's
do,
enough,
so.
yeah.
Yeah, kind of a bad time of the year too, because township supervisor, they're always busy.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Yep.
And I mean,
What you need to do.
and I mean, it might be. Pushed off until October
Yeah.
before I start, getting them
Yep.
through the fall season here a little bit before, cause. Right now, it's gonna get in the mail, it's gonna get thrown on somebody's desk, some township desk, and they're not gonna look at it for 2
Right.
months anyway, so.
Yeah.
But it was just more to let you know what's kind of going on, and if there's something different, or a different approach we should go at for. Anything, but
Okay,
otherwise, that's what I got.
keep us,
Good
keep
luck.
us
Yeah.
updated. Okay,
Thank you.
sorry, we're running a little behind. Sheriff Jurgens. Morning.
The first item is. We're working on getting the rest of our radios for the eventual switch over to the network, and I need 2 more radios. That's that first bid from Motorola, and Motorola is the only one with the contract, so that's why I did not get another bid. I'm looking, so to purchase 2 more radios for, patrol cars. That will totally outfit, our vehicles, and I'll have enough radios then if I purchase these 2.
And Jim, so do you have the money? Are you looking for, did we use ARPA or something last time, or what was it, or?
I have the money in my budget and I will pay for it.
Oh, you
My
do?
budget, yes.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve the 2 purchase of the 2 radios then.
Okay, Amy second. Any more discussion? Questions?
Ron, it's that 13,007.
It is. Yes, it is.
For 2 radio?
2 radios.
Well, that's with all the equipment and everything too, correct? Still.
They've gone up.
Okay, any more questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll take the vote. Christie?
Yes.
Ernie?
Yeah.
Benny?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Myself, yes, motion carried.
The next item is, I'm looking to upgrade our side by side. We have a 2014 currently and it has been nothing but trouble and I'm looking to trade it off and get a different model. The 800 motor has been notorious for having all kinds of engine trouble and I've had lots of issues with it and it's not reliable. So I would like to use the Joe's Sports Center bid.
So did you get more than just this bid?
There's 2 bids there.
Oh, yeah.
Hubert's. Did you try
Oh,
Duffy's?
Hubert's, I was gonna say. Have you
Duffy
tried-
and Northwood?
Or Finley's?
That's where we bought our current one and I've had nothing but trouble with their service department.
Okay.
How about Finley Motors? I drive by there to go to Bismarck all the time, they have.
I know that Joe's is good in Devil's Lake with service. I'll check some stuff there.
These are the 2 bids I got.
Okay,
What surprises me on the 2 bids is the difference in the tracks.
Yes,
One's like roughly 5,500, the other's 13,000.
right,
That's awful.
Do you have the money for this also?
I do.
Make a motion to approve the bid.
I'll second it.
This one's gonna have heat, isn't it?
any more questions or,
Yes,
that's a pretty good bid for a.
Yeah, it is.
this is a carryover and I made sure to call them the other day and make sure they had it, so,
Okay,
and they do, so.
okay, any more questions? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Benny?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Ernie?
Yes.
Christie? Yes. Myself, yes, motion carried.
We had another deputy start yesterday and I will have another one starting this September 9th. So, our only current opening is the Park River position, so. Adams filled his position in the jail, so. We're moving forward with that, so.
Wow. Great news.
Do you wanna tell us about about your sergeant getting an award? Did I see that on Facebook?
So, yeah, John Vetch is our patrol sergeant and he was, he got an award for the DUIs, for doing the state programs. There's seatbelts, DUIs, speeding. John was one of the top DUI persons in our region and he was acknowledged at the Red Hawks game in Fargo last week. So. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure our guys are getting their
Right, so.
recognition.
So we will be full again now? Except for Park River.
Yes. And we will,
That's for a deputy, though, right? Not Charlie's spot.
no, Charlie's still in this spot, there's
Yeah.
one current opening
Okay.
in Park River.
Okay.
So, we're gonna work with the academy and see if we can find a person for that, so we're working on that.
Okay, any more questions for Ron? Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Well, now we're on 2 minutes ahead.
Yeah.
Lots of.
No, wait 1 minute.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I guess. I was thinking 10:55.
One extra one that didn't make it into the packet.
Yeah, you have 7, no, you take your time. Just kidding.
No, 7 minutes.
Yeah, passing it. First, one quick addition, a couple of things that bring weight in for this morning in regards to, box culvert on number 9. So, I think we'll wait for this.
Yeah, first one is the notice of award. We opened the bids last Thursday. Gladen Construction was the low bid. They came in just under the estimate for it. So I guess the recommendation would be to sign the notice of award, and then we'll get all the contract paperwork out to them and having to send back and hopefully have it for the next commission meeting to have under contract so that as soon as the box is ready, that they can get it put in.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept that?
So move.
Second.
Is this the box culvert we're waiting for to get built?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
This way we'll have everything else
Done.
ready, and as soon as we get the box, we'll be able to go weather permitting.
Okay.
Okay. Yes,
What was the company that got the award?
Gladen Construction.
GLADE. Okay, any more questions? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Christie?
Yes.
Ernie?
Yes.
Danny?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Myself, yes, motion carried.
Is when you talk about bids, and you don't notice them around here much, Knife River ever put bids in anymore, they used to do a lot of work here, and I don't see trucks or anything.
The Knife River hasn't did anything of ours lately.
Yeah, they don't do a lot of earthwork or, structure type stuff. They still do quite a bit of paving. But yeah, they had that big push in like from 14 to 16.
Yeah.
They still do quite a bit down south, but.
I was gonna say around here, even the paving or anything, I don't see any other trucks.
On our, I know just to the east of, I'm pretty sure Harwood, there was a big paving project on that road, and I'm pretty sure I saw
And
then the second one is for that same project, just a CE contract. For us to do the construction engineering when they do build the project. It's our usual, we do it hourly, so it's only charged for what. And we spend out there, so it's fairly close, and Gladen is pretty efficient contractor, so. I would expect to be under, the estimate we have for the top end is 52,800. Again, we typically come in under that, but.
Is that with the 50% reduction or?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to accept the bid.
I'll second it.
Where is this location?
Same spot, on number 9,
Number 9.
148. So the water board knows we have contractors and we're just waiting for it, so. We get a cost share between the water board, ourselves, and then some flex funds that we get from the state, so.
Okay. Call for the roll, Danny?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Christie?
Yes.
Ernie?
Yes.
Myself, yes, motion carried.
You look surprised on the ass sack. You look surprised on the.
Thank God.
The one on the left? Oh, yeah, okay. There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Back to regular scheduled programming, I guess. Containers permits. I had 4 permits to bring in front of you today. The water board signed off on all 4 of them this morning. The first one is from Nathan Risky, a 24-inch by 50-foot culvert, for relocated driveway along Highway 15. It's at Warsaw. No issues with that one at all from our standpoint. A little bit of ditch clean up with it as well from Boulder. Harley Kingsbury Company has one for a culvert extension on number 6. They're not doing any other changes except just trying to make it safer for their equipment to get in and out of their field approach. Cyril Suda has one for a ditch clean. Conveniently enough, right where we're gonna be doing our work for the bridge and the box culvert and things along there. So we don't have any issues with that one either. We're getting some stuff going for that. And the last one is for Lee Gaditis. It's a ditch cleaning along Highway 15. It also goes around the northwest portion of Warsaw. That's the last one. No issues or concerns with any of these permits, so looking for authorizations and it's an issue for them.
Okay, do I make a motion to approve the operating permits as presented?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any more questions on drainage permits? There are none, I'll call for the vote. Denny?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Christie? Yes. Ernie?
Yes.
Myself, yes, motion carried.
The only
Okay,
only other thing I feel I should bring up for you is while our reading was great, it also helped us find a couple more issues with the law enforcement center. We had water leaking in from the roof in a couple of places. Was up there last week and shoveled off the rock, found some different cracks and things that have come up in the plastic membrane that is underneath that roof up there. Yesterday afternoon or evening, I was up there and patched 5 places. Hopefully I got the right 5 spots where there's cracks through the membrane. One of those spots where there had been a patch in the past, actually has a 3 centimeter spot where it was going in between the membrane patch and the actual membrane. So we have water going in between the membrane, then it sits in between a steel deck. And it's rusting out that spots and it follows those until it gets to a seam in the metal deck before it drips down. So, water was dripping into one of the vaults, and into the area that Savannah sits this week. So hopefully we got both stopped, but, the roof is, that's the second time I've been up on the roof in 7 months, actually, these type of items, so. Yeah, for anybody that's speed on that one as well.
thank you for that. Yes.
You're welcome. Yeah. In regards to that, would also bring in the Nordic company who did the last inspection we had. There are some concerns with the water that's been leaking through about molds and different items, so. We got the last one cleaned up, then we're bringing in the exact same company that did the testing last time, so we already have the baseline submitted, so it shouldn't be as much, but. I called them and got them scheduled, they'll be here, the earliest they can get us on their schedule is September 3rd, so we'll be doing some inspections that. We also have had a couple of issues with the sewer in the jail. Where the plumbers were coming in to use an order rate, so it's showing again. It had been quiet, but it's not so much anymore.
Oh, gee, well, thanks for keeping an eye on it.
Left the good news for the last.
Yeah.
Yep, thank
I was just gonna let everybody know too, if, I don't know who else is gonna go to the Association of Counties meeting in Bismarck in October. But we will have, supper that Sunday night again, and you guys are all invited, so.
Thank you. Jax?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds so good.
Yeah.
I will be in Sioux Falls this year.
Oh,
And not at the Association of Counties meeting. It's the same time as the engineering meeting this year,
Oh,
at time, something.
well, we changed our meeting. later in the month, so.
He asked me and I said, go to that one and we'll cover the highway one.
Yeah, we can cover it. I'll help. I'll be there with you guys for the DOT meetings, yeah. So.
Okay, well, thanks. Thanks,
you.
Lynn.
Thank you.
Okay,
Oh, I was gonna note that they did the quick seal project on 14 on by my place, so Gold's Magic, Lincoln, looks really good. It's really good.
It's been doing a nice, getting a lot of compliments on that.
Good.
The chip sealing plus even the mastic and that is a lot better.
Yeah, it's a smoother ride than just a wet coat.
Yeah.
The mess.
okay, well,
It's big jobs.
yep. Okay, we have a couple unfinished business and I'll let Christie either do capital project levy or bill deadline, whatever.
I'll start with the capital project levy, if that's okay. So with our budgets, we found out that we were off the 10 mils for our road and bridge. And I did find a folder, in the office. And it does look like, they, were aware of that 10 mils that they were missing. And the plan was to take it out of capital project. So at least that made me feel a little bit better knowing that that wasn't a surprise.
So we would take it out of the capital project fund.
Yeah, to make that 10 mils, but we're already levying that 10 mils for, the HVAC improvements one. So my question to you guys is September 3rd at 4 o'clock is the last day to accept anything to get put on the November ballot. I need to know if you guys want a measure on the ballot to increase the capital projects levy 10 mils for road and bridge funds.
I believe we do. I mean, we're not asking for additional mills, we're really just taking them from a different fund.
Right.
We need to keep our highway mills at that 40 mills, otherwise we're cutting them by 10 mils.
We will have to make sure we get out to the taxpayers that what they're paying now will be no more.
Sure.
Yeah, it's just
Because it's already-
it's all
Right,
almost worded, right? We've got to be careful how it's.
Cause if we don't get it, we'll lose that 10, but they're already paying it for this year's.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
we wanna make sure we can, otherwise I don't know how we'll maintain our roads and stuff, it's crazy.
Okay, so work with the state's attorney's office, get a
Yeah.
measure, done, bring it to you guys, and then you guys can put it on September 3rd. Yeah.
I
Yes.
think, yes, I would like
Do we
that.
need to do any more advertising for that?
Yeah, that would be up to you guys, how that,
I think last time we just put it on the ballot, right? The last time we asked for the 10 mils
Yeah.
for the road,
I don't know.
or did we put something in the paper? Maybe we relied on Todd.
Yeah,
I think there's some legal requirements that
Right.
to do that, I think you gotta put in a legal.
I think we have to have a
Yeah,
couple
and,
public meetings, didn't we?
I don't know if you're required by law to have the public meetings,
Right,
but I think you gotta run it like 2 weeks in a row as a legal
Right.
saying that it's coming.
Okay, yeah,
And you guys are gonna try to get it on the November ballot?
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And maybe what we should do is at our regular commission meetings, bring up the topic and explain to them both
Yeah.
times that, hey, this is increasing your taxes, it's the same as what it is now, we just can't afford to lose the 10 mils.
Yes, and so the other measures, I believe there are 5 other measures, statewide measures that are gonna be on the ballot. So yeah, the publication, it'll just get
Yep.
added to that one, so it'll all go at once, so. And then they did say, Secretary of State did, cause I've been talking to them about it, they recommend, short and sweet. Because they do not want, I guess a 2-page ballot
No, and
is awful, so just keep that in mind.
do we have an example of what we had in the last time?
Yes,
So that
exactly. Yep, I'll send that to Kelly and they can work on it, so it was short and sweet, so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yep, so,
Okay,
so that is that, so I will, proceed with that and we'll put that on the agenda, for you guys for September 3rd.
okay,
And that 4 o'clock is the deadline, so deadline is, we won't need a special meeting, so it'll be great, okay? And then the next one, I was gonna have Kelsey, can I call Kelsey and
Sure.
then she handles the bills?
yes.
Was that G.R. Sobler from Ox Township that was in here with that floodplain?
Chair Steele.
No.
No, Rory,
That's
Rory, it's Ivan's boy, Rory Sobek,
Rory and his wife.
Rory.
And then that's at in Hobbs Township then?
Yep, just west of my farm. Jesus, I'm like, waiting, sorry.
And then it was his wife, Gwen, is
Yep.
with him?
When? Yeah, like I said, I've never seen water in that, and when I started reading that, I said, are you kidding me? That was my first reaction.
So I brought Kelsey in, so in our office, we, have deadlines that we have to have your guys' packets out by a certain time. So when we found out that bills had to be approved before they get paid, all except for utilities, we changed that. I mean, it's probably been 9 months ago now that that has been changed. Every meeting, we are getting late bills constantly. We are trying to run our office efficiently in there, and we have deadlines constantly that we're doing. And we're trying to adjust to it. I've reached out to department heads and asked them as they get bills, even scanning them to us, they can't run over here, scan them to us so we can do them as time allows. I feel like a lot of the time it goes okay, but the majority of the time it's not. For example, last Wednesday, the deadline is noon on Wednesday. Wednesday at 2 o'clock, we received 35 bills. So it's after, and there were 4 of them that were due in 2 days. So I need direction from you guys on what you guys are expecting of my office when we're getting bills that are coming in late. And they're supposed to be approved prior to us paying. You guys did give me approval to pay bills as I see fit in between, so that's covered that way. But I need to know if I had to pull Whitney and Kelsey from a project a deadline that we were working on last week in my office to get those bills added. What are you guys expecting of us when we're getting late bills? Are you guys more worried about late payments and us getting those bills out and stop what we're doing? Or what, I guess?
Do we get charged late payments if we don't?
Well, some of them do and some of them don't, and we've had, there's some people that are upset because their thought is you guys already approved the budget. So you guys are approving the budget, so they don't feel that you guys need to approve the bills before they are paid. And I understand that, but it's century code. Century code requires, it's not like I'm doing this just because, this is the requirement for us. I understand that there's bills that are gonna be late from time to time, mail, whatever, but that 1 or 2, not a whole stack. I'm just, and I've mentioned to the department heads, make sure that we're getting on time and whatnot. But I just was really frustrated last week when we're working through budget season. And then on Thursday, I wasn't even here Thursday, and there was another stack that came Thursday, so a whole day late after we already sent you guys the packets, and then now we're rerunning the reports and all that, so.
Madam Chair, I think this is a responsibility of our department heads. They're supervising, they're leaders, and this isn't a leadership quality that I support. So I guess what I would say is keep going, but I'd like things identified. If they're late and they're coming in, I think there should be it should be identified. It should be made known, so we're aware of where these late bills are coming in, because this needs to be addressed by our leaders in this county, and that is our department heads, and that needs to be raised to a standard that it's not falling on you to pick up the pieces.
Yeah. And we have been for probably 6 months now, as we get the bills, we're stamping the day we get the bills. So in our office, so we know when they were handed in, so that we can pull them and say, well, we only got them in 3 days, and even if we would stop what we're doing, cut the check, it would never make it in time to be paid. I just feel like it's a struggle, and it seems like it's the same departments over and over, and I just need to know that. I agree. I think that I shouldn't have to bring it to you guys. But we're dealing with it consistently.
I think, an email should be sent out to the department heads again, from us, stating that it needs to be better and done at the right time. And let's go from there. I don't know that we can, do much else about that, but I agree with Amy. Our department heads need to do better than that. We can't expect you. We have so much work that we need from you for our meetings. And that puts you guys then behind in us getting information for certain things because of that. So go ahead, Christie.
I'm just wondering, would it be helpful, first of all, we need to follow century code. And I think all the department heads need to get on the bandwagon with that. I know it's a change and people sometimes don't like change, but we don't have a choice. I'm not a fan of not following century code, so I believe we need to. Would it be helpful to you? Because I do not feel that we should have to every other week, Kelsey has to send out the reminder, get your bills up here by noon on such and such a date. I mean, they should be responsible enough to just know that I have to have my bills there by that day. Could we go to, or would it be helpful to go to, say, every Friday? Bills for that week have to be in here by Friday, or every Monday, I don't care what day, but let's start getting them in weekly, so we don't have this buildup of 2 weeks of bills and then it gets dumped on you guys, because what if they would have been gone? What if they've been in meetings? What if you couldn't have pulled them for the project? And I'm sure you didn't wanna have to pull them from a project. So would that be helpful? I'm looking at what would be helpful to address this situation.
Yeah, it would be easier to do it weekly than
Okay, so what day weekly? What day would you like?
Fridays would be fine.
So if they get them in here by Friday at 4:30, every week, Friday by 4:30, okay. I would say that that's what we need to do as commissioners, address the situation that will help them. Say every week by Friday at 4:30, you bring up your bills for the week. The other thing is when the bills come to you, are they date stamped by the department head, so you can see how long they maybe had them sitting on their desk, or maybe they just got them, we don't know.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's the other thing that I think needs to be addressed. Every piece of mail that comes into this courthouse should be date stamped. To me, there's no excuse it's not. So I think it should start to be date stamped as well.
Sure.
So that you guys can know, like, well, hey, maybe they did get a bill that, did come in late,
And we
so it's
do.
really not their fault.
We do.
Or maybe it's been sitting there for 10 days and they just didn't get it up to you guys. But if there's a date stamp on it, then we know when it came in.
Right, that's what we'll make it easier on my part too, because. I mean, I know utility bills and stuff, cause we get them as well, and they all come in at the same time.
Mhm.
And so it's easier, like, to pay those because we all have it, but when it's. Like a consistent thing
Right.
of, I need this help like now or whatever, which, some things, yes, but. Other things I feel like can wait.
Mhm.
They're not so important, I mean, they're important, but they're not so
Right.
important as to like utilities and stuff like
Right.
that, we can do that, cause we get ours for the courthouse.
Okay,
So if every other department has theirs at the same time that we have ours, we can pay that one check and we're done.
right.
But when I have 10 other bills that are all due within 2 days. I mean, it's a lot, and then 3 days later. They're due again, like something else is due again, and then I'm cutting 4-6 checks a month and
That make much sense.
on top of doing bills
Right.
for commission, it's just a lot.
Well, and this way you don't have to send out the reminder. You can set up a schedule of when you wanna pay bills. So maybe you wanna pay every Monday morning, cause your bills come in on Friday and you pay every
Yeah.
Monday morning, or
Yeah.
whatever you wanna do. But the last thing I would say is, I don't think it's the auditor's office responsibility to have to go to the department heads and keep begging for them. So my thought is if you are having trouble with certain departments that are bringing you continually the bills late, you talk to the commissioner who is a portfolio holder, and the commissioner goes and talks to that department head. And then it becomes a performance issue,
Yeah.
so I don't think that should be left, that just causes poor morale between employees, right? If you have to have one department head going to the other one and saying,
Yes.
I'd rather see it come to the portfolio holder.
I was gonna mention that too, and for the simple reason that sometimes there might be a reason that the bill didn't come.
Right.
Then we as portfolio holders know and stuff, so.
But
there's
that's a
communi-
matter of communication.
Right, communication, and to me, there's not enough of it at times, and, I mean, if Jason in their department or something, or they're late or whoever, if I'm the portfolio holder. Let me know and I'll go talk to them, there might be a good reason, and if there isn't, then you know what, they need to be jacked up a little bit.
But if they bring them in weekly now,
Yep.
we shouldn't have, you know, every 2 weeks, yeah, maybe it just came that. Very beginning of the 2 weeks and it did sit on their desk and it is due right now, but if we do it weekly, we shouldn't have that problem.
And usually like on Wednesdays when the bills are due, I will call, like I'll call Savannah or Tammy, I'm like, if the mail came at 10. And you have anything else, bring them to me and I will get them in immediately, like right then, so we have everything to go. For the meeting, next Tuesday,
Mhm.
so I try to be, like, communicate that to them as well, and then also like if you have your utility bill, if we get ours in. For our office, for the courthouse, I'll call and say, we have ours, do you have yours, I'm gonna pay this because it's due. They say yes or no, whatever, and then I try to communicate that part, just so we're all on top of it, or on the same
But it
page.
all
with
takes
that.
extra time.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And
It's a lot.
Friday and Monday, I think, is a better timing, if
It
you don't
is.
agree, because you think about Wednesday, and that's still how many days in between
Yeah.
for the next meeting. You know, whereas if it's Friday, that's pretty much the end, right? And then you pay Monday, well, if something were to come in, like you said, it's not 2 more weeks, you know,
Right.
you can, it can stay for the next week, if you will.
Yeah.
So that's what the plan is.
Let's give this a try and let us know
Okay.
if it helps or improves or doesn't.
And if it does, I mean. Is it okay if my office doesn't have time to stop what we're doing and pay a bill? Because it's in 2 days, I mean, is that a performance issue on my part or my office? That's what I'm more worried about. Is,
I don't feel that it's a performance issue on your part, however, I don't like the idea of a county, a government entity being late on bills. That bothers me.
Especially if there's a late.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and even if there's
Regardless,
not,
yeah, I know,
it just makes it look bad, right?
Yeah.
But this change should address, like, you I mean, that's the
Yeah.
first step. And then I think the second step is you're not going to the department or to the portfolio holder every time. Like you're saying, I mean, there could be an excuse for
Yeah.
someone, but if it's a consistent pattern, that's where you're coming.
Yeah.
And so, you know, as commissioners, I think we need to take that seriously, that it isn't a one-time thing. This is a pattern that needs to be addressed, so.
And they're pretty good, some departments are good about putting their dates on there, that makes it easier for me, because, I mean, this time we have 70 checks. It's a lot for me to go through every single one, look at the date, pull all the information, stuff it in with it, I mean, it's just a lot, it's a whole process, and so it takes me a couple hours to do it, so if other people are willing to help me out by doing that, that makes it easier for me as well, and I don't have to spend as much time going through everything, which I don't mind that part, but just a little give and take helps as well. Like the dates, if you write the date on there when it's due, then
That's a big.
then I can know right then when I see it, okay, I need to put this in this pile, so I know by the end of the week I need to have these paid. And then I can have these set aside, and they can wait until the commission meeting, cause they're due at the end of the month, or something like that, something where if they can have their dates on there, or just where there's communication when you.
Well,
bring it up.
every bill should have a due date on it, right?
Absolutely, but like if
Okay.
they write it in the voucher at the top, because I mean, some of these are thick, I mean.
And you're digging through.
Eight bills, yeah, it's a lot of going through every single one, going through it, making sure everything's on there, plus inputting in the system and. Yeah.
On your voucher, couldn't you just add a little line for due date?
Yeah.
And then they can fill it out.
Something like that, just to help.
To
that out.
simplify it, sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good, everyone's pretty good, but sometimes it does just get a little bit out of hand, and it's just a lot. On top of it, on top of doing everything else, I mean, our office does a lot, I mean, there's a lot going on, and it's hard to learn if you're learning other things when you're constantly paying bills, you
Right.
know?
Right, you should be able to have a time frame set aside to do
Right,
that.
and plus let's have the election too, and this is a big one, so it has a lot of time involved.
Well, let's give this a try and keep it
Okay, sure.
posted.
okay, yeah.
Sounds good. Okay,
Great.
any more unfinished business? Your other business? Okay, hearing none.